So I'm Dave Macgill, the head brewer of Deep South Brewing Co. We've just built this facility over the last 18 months and we're just about to open to the public and go live. So we're here today, in collaboration with Shambles because we've made a pale ale called Flex after one of the actual liquid hops that we've used in it. So it's actually a beer that hasn't seen any hop pellets in what we would see as the traditional form of hops in craft brewing at the moment. We've used 3 different liquid products throughout 3 stages of the brewing process. We used Flex in the bittering, Incognito in the whirlpool, and another dry hop product as well, all of them through HPA, which has been super interesting to sort of see how it unfolds and what impact it has on the beer.
The brewers use the flowers of the plant, so traditionally used to just get picked and chucked in whole. Modern times processed into pellets, so a lot of the vegetal material removed and the flowers crushed up and pelletized.
There's 2 processes normally that they're used for in beer, obviously the bittering compound as well. So they have alpha acids in the hops and then they're isomerized in the brewing process once they're boiled, which gives you the bittering compound. So for a long time, there was only a few bittering style hops. We're seeing now with the movement of craft beer and so forth, there's a lot more push into the flavoured hops now. So we call flavour hops basically hops that are on the, post of the boil. When you don't boil them, they don't isomerize as much, but they're still soluble, and that's where you get much more of that flavour and aroma compound as well. So when we talk about wort, it's just the sugar water that we've unlocked all the sugar, broken down complex carbohydrates, so that the yeast can eat it later on down the track, really.
The brewing process is basically wort generation. What the brew house does is basically take grains to create malty, barley flavoured sugary water that we then put hops into, and then the yeast ferment. We go back far enough and we don't really know why hops started to be added to beer. The theory is that it was about preservative because the alpha acids and the bittering compounds actually have antimicrobial properties, so it made the beer keep longer. The interesting thing is that hops used to be traded as a commodity, so they were grown based on that number, on the alpha acid percentage, which is the bittering bit. That's all anyone cared about, and from year to year the hop growers would measure that and they were selling the amount of hops, not based on acreage or a number of plants or tonnage of finished product. It was literally on like kilos of alpha acids that they could generate through that process. So it was sort of driven to maximise that compound in the hop, so that when they were breeding, they were crossbreeding plants and picking individual plants that had high percentages to try and basically selectively breed up that percentage. Whilst trying to breed for alpha, you were selecting individuals that had these really interesting aromas and flavours and higher oil content as well, and the oil's where all the flavour is, and that started to become a thing that they pushed for. And so now it's completely flipped on its head. No one really gives a crap about alpha acids anymore. It's all about flavour and aroma, and it's all about, in the craft beer space, it's all about percentage of oil content. And most of us are kind of, I am for sure, we kind of put in some bittering to get the bittering level where we want it to, but then we're kind of really focusing on that flavour and aroma and that oil content in late hopping. So that's kind of where it's all at.
Which is where these come into play. The beer that we've brewed with Flex is sort of, these products now are reducing the vegetal matter again. So a type 90 pellet is basically 4 or 5 hop cones in a pellet, much easier to store, less bulky. The technology's come a long way and been able to basically just extract the oil compounds out of the hops now, put it into a liquid form, and that's the beer we brewed. We haven't actually seen a hop pellet. There's not too many products out there at the moment. I mean, it takes a lot of, the hop growing regions and the companies, there's big dollars in hop growing regions and companies around the world, and Bathurst is obviously the biggest, and there's a lot of technology and IP around the development of these kind of products. So they're pretty new, and there's limited scope on what you can and get your hands on. I mean, there's limited scopes on who can grow certain varieties of hops, let alone. But
even the ones that can grow it don't have the facilities or the the laboratories or the technology to be able to produce this stuff. It's very cutting edge and high tech at the moment. And
kind of NASA type stuff for the brewing industry. This situation.
They're certainly at the forefront. So we're kind of there is truth to the fact that we have a local hop field and a local hop company, HPA, who we get a lot of hops off, and that support the local industry and communicate with us a lot about what's new and what's around, and give us the opportunity to test these things out on a small scale too. So, we're lucky to have quick, easy access to this stuff here, the way we do.